It's easy to get lost in the beauty of the Withlacoochee State Forest. It feels ancient, untouched, like it's always been this way. But that's not the whole story, because if you know where to look, if you're willing to step off the trail just a little, you'll start to notice things that don't quite belong. A raised line through the woods, a scatter of brick where no house stands, an old road that leads somewhere it shouldn't. And suddenly the forest doesn't feel untouched at all. It feels remembered. This is the story of Croom, a Florida boomtown that rose from the swamp, built its life on timber, turpentine, and railroads, and then vanished so completely the forest almost erased it. Before the railroad, before the sawmills, before the scars in the land, there was a river. The Withlacoochee River wasn't just scenery, it was survival. Back in the mid-1800s, this place was known as Pemberton Ferry, a crossing point where wagons, mail, and travelers paused to be carried across dark, tannin-stained water. It was quiet, slow, grounded in the rhythm of the land. But in 1884, everything changed. A steam whistle cut through the trees. The Florida Southern Railway arrived, and with it, the kind of energy that turns backwoods crossings into boomtowns. Pemberton Ferry became Croom. Tracks branched out, a station rose, and a massive iron trestle carried trains across the river. The forest didn't just surround the town anymore, it fueled it. Turpentine camps carved into the pines, workers cut cat faces into trees to bleed resin from the land. Logging operations followed, clear-cutting vast stretches of forest, loading timber onto trains that never seemed to stop moving. And beneath it all, phosphate. Another resource. Another reason to dig deeper. Croom wasn't just growing. It was consuming everything around it to survive. For a while, it worked. Croom became a hub, full of workers, movement, noise, and ambition. There were stores, a post office, homes, a school, even a place known as the Thomas House, anchoring the community. But life here wasn't easy. The work was brutal. The camps were isolated. And like much of the South at the time, the system relied on deeply unjust labor practices that left scars far beyond the landscape. Even nature pushed back. Disease outbreaks, yellow fever quarantines, and the great freezes of the 1890s. Events that reminded everyone just how fragile this place really was. But the real problem wasn't sudden. It was slow. Everything Croom depended on was being used up. Tree by tree, barrel by barrel, trainload by trainload. By the early 1900s, the shift had begun. The forests thinned, the turpentine industry declined, new materials replaced old demand, and one by one, the reasons people came here disappeared. The trains slowed, the workers left, the post office closed in 1935, and without fanfare, Croom simply began to fade. No fire, no final storm, just empty buildings, quiet tracks, and the slow return to the forest. Today, Croom doesn't exist on most maps, but if you walk these trails, you'll find it. Not all at once, not clearly, but in pieces. A railbed still raised above the forest floor. Old iron rails half buried with trees growing straight through them. Near the river, the land lifts just enough to tell you something used to run through here. And if you follow it, you might find yourself standing where a bridge once crossed the river. Not the bridge itself, that's long gone, but the path to it, still there. I followed one of those paths, what looked like just another trail, until it didn't. It widened, flattened, began to feel intentional, and I remember stopping, looking ahead and thinking, that is totally a road. And it was. An old roadway still holding its shape, leading all the way down toward the river, and a modern boat ramp that quietly continues the same purpose it always had. Access, movement, connection. Even now, the land remembers how it was used, and scattered along the way, a pile of old bricks or stone sitting where it shouldn't be, but exactly where it makes sense. Fragments, clues, echoes of a place that refused to disappear completely. We live for finding places like this, where history isn't behind glass, it's under your feet. If you enjoy uncovering forgotten stories like Croom, make sure to like and subscribe and follow along. And if you've ever stumbled onto something that made you stop and say, that shouldn't be here, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Croom isn't gone. Not really. It's just quieter now. Hidden beneath pine needles and palmetto, waiting for someone curious enough to notice the details. It's a reminder that even the busiest places can vanish. Not with a bang, but with time. And that sometimes the only thing left behind is a road in the woods that still knows exactly where it used to go.